Hello, and welcome to the Drop of Light podcast, episode 3. And in a world of darkness, sometimes all we need is a drop of light. A place where your host, Mike, talks about various topics with a drop of light. So welcome, get cozy. Maybe you're driving, maybe you're walking, maybe you're lying down. Wherever you are, I hope you're doing well, and I will keep you company for the next 15 minutes or so. And today, I have a topic I like to avoid talking about, but at the same time, can be pretty enjoyable. And that topic is, I'm going to turn myself up a little bit. Topic of loneliness. Yes, that word. What does it feel when you hear loneliness? Negative, positive. There's that idea of loneliness has a negative twist, and solitude has a positive twist. So, I feel in my life I'm pretty well versed in loneliness, although I do have a family, and I guess everyone has a family. I guess what I mean by loneliness is sometimes you can, one, or at times, you can feel disconnected from others. It could be on an isolated work job. It can be temporary. It can be permanent. All sorts of situations can bring about feelings of loneliness. And one thing that comes to mind too is the idea of a study that was done in the US. It's the longest running life satisfaction study. I think they looked at people's lives over 70 years, like the longest span, and measured life satisfaction. And anyways, the long story short, the number one factor that contributed to life satisfaction people and their kind of throughout their life was quality of relationships. So there's a link between, say, not having quality relationships. So if you think if loneliness is related to not quality relationships, then it could also lead to lesser life satisfaction. However, you can have a lot of loneliness, and also have great life satisfaction, great relationship satisfaction. So having relationships doesn't maybe lessen loneliness. Sometimes, there's a relationship there. And then at the same time, yeah, being lonely doesn't mean that you have poor relationships. And having a great relationship doesn't mean that you don't get lonely. I feel like both of those mean the same. Here's my mumbling. Welcome. Sometimes I feel like I have to wait for something to come to me. I just got so excited to start on this episode. It's days later than I wanted it to be, and here I am talking about a topic. I'm currently living on my own with my dog, and the days can get lonely. Today's 2024, December 8th. It's on a Sunday, and I had family over. It was nice. A little housewarming. and I didn't really connect with anyone, or the connection was just very light. I chose it to be light. I I've just been tired and exhausted. So sometimes loneliness is like we don't have the energy or effort to flow into relationships. That's okay. But just know when you do have the energy and effort to flow into relationships, relationships are there. Um, I guess other disentangled relationships, what does energy and effort mean when it comes to relationships? So it's making plans. It's being the one to initiate plans rather than being like, oh, people don't ask me, why should I ask them? Well, if you have the energy for it, ask them. And if you don't, just acknowledge you don't have the energy. So even if someone was reaching out to you, you might not necessarily have the energy to meet them anyways. So oftentimes it's reflective of how much energy we have. And then the effort piece, I would say, is like when you are out with them, are you making it quality? Are you like getting to know this person, what's happening in their lives, even if it's someone you knew your entire life? Are you leaving room for something new and new opportunities? Are you creating a new experience, new conversations? Yeah, it's interesting. And although I had the energy to create an outing, have people over, I did not have the effort to kind of update myself with people. I just didn't have the capacity, and it's okay. Talking a little bit about myself today. It is the first episode that I'm diving into that. So welcome. Another point. Oh, so how do you work through energy levels? It's ebb and flow. There's sleep. There's time on phone. There's the food you eat. There's exercise. There's peace of mind. So peace of mind can be, are you allowing your mind to be easy, or are you filling it up with every second of the day? It can be so hard with our phones. I'm just tired today. Tired for this episode. And it's only episode 3. Will that judgy mind coming in, that little critic, belly full after dinner, mind ready for bed. I think part of these podcasts, although her little episodes, even though I want it to be interesting, at the same time, I kind of want them to be nothing. Like this type of ramble, trying to figure out the feeling, and I'm wondering if I'm generating it or I'm getting close to it. It's kind of a feeling of you start with something kind of interesting, like something people might be going through, relatable, and you don't go anywhere with it. I don't like that. It's a very interesting flavor, but it kind of starts you, it like puts you in that ready position. Like maybe after this, you'd want to read more and look more about it rather than kind of giving answers and moving on. It kind of like opens a door and you can kind of stay in that doorway. Anyways, that's kind of my intention, to just stay in this doorway of like, I don't know what's next. There's no plan here. There never was a plan here, other than my little question answer stuff. And then, even then, now I'm like, to what degree am I answering the questions? Like, is loneliness good, bad? Neither. There's a saying like by another therapist, and it's like you always grieve the both. Like, um, let's take the example of solitude. I like that word a little bit more, but in solitude, you're grieving all the relationships you may be left behind or are not developing, or you're putting kind of trust or on pause. No, so you're in solitude because you're like, I don't want to be hanging out with people all the time, so I'm in solitude. And then say you do have a life where the moments in your life where you're hanging out with a lot of people and there's a lot of events, and every week, even maybe a few times a week, there are hangouts and things like that, sports games, concerts, I don't know, people do outdoors, indoors, and you grieve the solitude. The what if I stayed home and I didn't go watch the game? What would I have done? Or I stayed home and, it's same old, or I'm working on these things and I didn't get to see my friends today. What would have that been like? One more day with my friends, or one more day with myself. What if? It's fun. It's the grieving of options. Should I stay or should I go? Should I reach out or should I stay within? Discursive thinking. Maybe I'm getting that word wrong. It feels like it fits. Bit by bit, we figure it out. There's a cool video I stumbled across, and I think this will be helpful for future listening and a good note to kind of wrap things up and end off on. And it's something like this guy, probably TikTok, was saying like, you don't need to read any more books, even though books are fun. So please continue reading books. Or not. Heard you don't need to consume anything more. Like if you want to know what the answer is for you of should I go or should I stay, you get really, really silent and you drop all the stories. This is the kind of tough part. The stories are like, it's really hard to explain what people mean by the stories. Some people get it as soon as they hear it. Some people are like, what does that even mean? The stories are like, yeah, I was born in X country in X year, and my name is X, and I'm I'm X years old, and I have X people in my life and X animals in life, and I like X things. So everything you say about yourself that's like a descriptor of yourself, that's considered a story of yourself. Some of them are fun stories, great stories. They're in a there's some it's a fun to it if you like hold it in a fun way. And but when you see it, like it's a story. It's like that's what's playing out. And there's some reality components, like, X years old, it's how many years you are in this lifetime on this planet, all that stuff. So there's that stuff. And countries are geographical location, borders are kind of drawn by other people. So border isn't like a real necessarily thing. It's like a government political thing. But it's all kind of a story. And some stories have some stories are stories like, you know, invisible, and some stories have some physics to it, but it's kind of, they can be similar. But anyway, so once you drop that, or just be like, find the place that, if there's a place you kind of can imagine where those are more loose. So it's just like, if you can imagine a place where none of those stories exist, that like, there's no age, there's no place. It's just kind of like a floating you, but the you that doesn't change. And then there, if you're kind of sitting in that silence, it's almost like, can be a little bit of like dissociative silence, but it's kind of like you're like drifting off. You're just kind of like drifting and you're breathing and it's quiet. You're drifting and you're just breathing. So you breathe and you drift. Sometimes you forget you're breathing. but you're not thinking, because like thinking is okay. There's a moment where the thinking kind of slows down. So if there's a lot of thinking, it means like you just need to practice it a bit, like daily, of like just that silence. There's like the formal meditation. There's informal ways of just like you're driving or showering and you're just kind of breathing and you're just seeing what happens. And in that moment, the answers come to you. And it can be said that even like, and this is something I haven't experienced, but I believe in. So that's something is this is where like works of art can come to you, like inventions can come to you, like anything can come to you. And it's almost like given to you by this world. It's kind of like that, the cat theory thing. Like if you really want a cat, one will kind of come to you and you find it. This is a story I heard. I I don't know how many people. I mean, there's people who have stories that cats came to them. There's also you can get cats by the idea of a cat comes to you and you Google it and you find a shelter or you hear from a friend. So there's different ways, not just kind of pops up on the street. It could be pop up as an idea, but and then you have a cat or a dog or pets, things like that. So anything. Or, you're an artist and sort of say a painter or whatever, a creator, and this idea comes. And there's a way you to sit in that receiving place and you receive and you put it out there into the physical world, or it can stay in the mental world. And it's a place that is like free of anxiety, it's free of worry. It's all loving and giving. So it's like a cool thing. And it's forgiving and compassionate and understanding and loving. It's in a weird way, it's whatever you want it to be. It can be logical and emotional and anything and everything that speaks to you. And then you realize the more I think you can spend in the place, the more you see that you're a lot more flexible than you think. I don't know how much all this makes sense. The 20-minute mark, I meant to really finish at the 15 today. But so we'll wrap this up then. I love you and I care about you. The stuff I say to myself at the end of a day. Love you, Mike. I care about you and viewers. And everything's going to be just fine. And you're exactly where you need to be. And you're held by the universe. Held in a loving and compassionate way. All right. Till next time. Peace out.